Middle piece of the barren plain, Zoidstar wrapped in the circuit's vein, roaring loud through my endless rage in the dust storm chaos of this stage. Fate of steel cut through the night, crushing foes under neon light. Red mutants clear burning fright, shield tigers, justice, they won't fight. Renegade warriors on the rise, against the blue guardian's lies. Through electric skies, we'll charge and scream. Shield tigers stand just like a dream. Metal stars losing all in flame, every strike reshapes the game. Renegades marching never tame, shield tiger roars, they scream his name. Transcendent rage on the bow, morning metal forwards from the foe. Eclipses showers from the cold, legends of Zoidstar have been told. Renegade warriors on the rise, against the blue guardian's lies. Through electric skies, we'll charge and scream. Shield tigers vengeance like a dream. Round those skies, we'll charge and scream. Shield tigers vengeance like a dream. Renegade warriors on the rise, against the blue guardian's lies. Through electric skies, we'll charge and scream. Shield tigers vengeance like a dream. evil might. Core defense with courage steel, Zoidstar leaves no chance to kneel. Battle glory of the heartbeat real. Monster machines crash under the darkened sky. Guardians rise while red mutants defy. Endless war, rage on clank and more machines. Losses sparks, the dreams and the broken screens. Through the waste, through guardian ire. Fight for dominion, red mutant fire. Engine screams, signs and Zoids burning bright. Spybacks and Zoids clashing in endless night. Mighty Zoids fighting ground, shaking fierce. Blue guardians justice, red mutants fierce. Battle of Zoids on for the robot plane. Blue guardians rush to roar over the cyber plane. On the rise and glowing from Z-ray laser beams. Echo of the past, Hydra Zoid screams. Clocks and the lanterns crashing. Steel, fangs the Liger makes the weak ones kneel. Robot world, gonna feel his reign. All resistance crumbles on the faintest.